This is Eleanor Voss at Still Point Institute, and today we are talking about why your wife stopped wanting you. And I mean that in every sense of the word. There was a time when she could not keep her hands off you, when the physical connection between you felt easy and natural and mutual, when you did not have to wonder or negotiate or strategize. She wanted you. You knew it. And everything else in the marriage felt simpler because of it. Then the ink dried on the marriage certificate. And so did she. If you are living in a sexless marriage right now, you already know the particular misery of lying next to someone every night who acts like you are a stranger. Like intimacy is something that happens to other people in other marriages. Like the man she chose to build a life with has somehow become someone she cannot bring herself to touch. And you have been asking yourself the same question for months or years. What happened? What changed? What did I do or not do that turned the woman who wanted me into the woman who tolerates me? In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. And I want you to stay with me because the answer is going to be uncomfortable, but it is the first honest thing anyone has probably said to you about this situation. But first, understand this. The problem in your bedroom is almost never actually about the bedroom. It goes much deeper than that. My name is Eleanor Voss. This is Still Point Institute. I have spent years working with men in exactly your situation, and the pattern I watched repeat itself over and over again always came back to the same thing. She lost respect for you, and women almost never sleep with men they do not respect. I know how that sounds. You are thinking, I am the same man she married. I have not changed. I still provide. I still show up. I still do everything I am supposed to do. How does a woman lose respect for a man who is doing everything right? Here is how. Women need to feel like they are winning with the man they chose, not winning against him, winning with him. When a woman looks at her husband and sees someone she genuinely admires, someone who handles the world with confidence, who holds his ground when he needs to, who has a self that does not collapse under pressure, she feels like she made a good choice. And when a woman feels like she made a good choice, she gives her husband everything she has, including the physical side of herself that he is currently missing. The problem is what happens to that respect over time in the average modern marriage. It starts small. She makes a cutting remark and he lets it pass because he does not want to fight. She challenges a decision he made and he backs down immediately because keeping the peace feels more important than holding his position. She speaks to him in a tone she would never use with anyone else, and he absorbs it because he is a good man who does not want to escalate. Each one of these moments seems too small to address. Each one individually is forgettable. But each one also registers in her psychology as a small withdrawal from the respect account, and accounts with consistent withdrawals and no deposits eventually run dry. This is the thing that nobody tells good men about marriage. The very qualities that make you a good man, your patience, your willingness to absorb conflict, your commitment to her happiness above your own comfort, can become the exact mechanisms that erode how she sees you. Not because she is cruel, not because she is deliberately trying to dismantle what you have built, but because the human brain, male or female, cannot maintain respect for someone who consistently accepts less than they deserve. Every time you absorbed something you should have addressed, a small part of her respect for you decreased. Not consciously. She was not sitting there calculating it, but it was happening anyway. And by the time the bedroom went cold, that account had been running in the red for longer than either of you probably realized. Then there are the tests. Women test their husbands. I am going to say that plainly because it is true, and most men know it is true, but nobody with any credibility ever says it out loud. These tests are not always conscious, and they are not always fair, but they are real and they are constant. She says something provocative to see if he will hold his ground or fold. She makes a demand that is slightly unreasonable to see if he will comply immediately or push back. She creates a small conflict to see if he will manage it with confidence or scramble to make her happy at the expense of his own position. What she is testing for is simple. She wants to know if he is strong enough to handle her. Because in her mind, if he cannot handle her, he cannot handle the world. And a man who cannot handle the world is not a man she can fully respect. And a man she cannot fully respect is not a man she can fully desire. The men who pass these tests are not harsh or domineering or unkind. They are simply clear. They hold their position without aggression. They do not bend themselves into whatever shape seems most likely to produce her approval in the immediate moment. They have a self that is not entirely dependent on whether she is happy right now. The men who fail these tests consistently are almost always the most devoted husbands in the room. They fail not because they are bad men, but because their entire motivation is her happiness, and they will sacrifice almost anything to secure it. She receives that devotion not as love, but as weakness. And weakness is one of the most reliable killers of female desire that has ever existed. There is a third pattern I want to name because it is the most common and the most invisible. He has given her everything the marriage was supposed to provide materially, the house, the security, the lifestyle. He works hard, he provides consistently, he is faithful, he is present in every logistical sense, and he has, in doing all of this, quietly become more of a function than a person in the marriage. He is the provider, the fixer, the man who handles things. But he has stopped being the man she fell in love with. The one who had opinions and edges and a life of his own that she was invited into, the one who sometimes pushed back, the one who made her feel like she had to work a little to keep him. That man is gone. What is left is reliable and responsible and invisible. And invisible men do not inspire desire. Now, I want to be very clear about something before I tell you what can actually be done about this. This is not your fault in the way you have been told it is your fault. You were taught that a good husband provides, absorbs, accommodates, and sacrifices. Nobody told you that doing all of those things without also maintaining your own position, your own standards, and your own self-respect would gradually hollow out the foundation of your wife's attraction to you. You followed the instructions you were given. The instructions were incomplete. But incomplete instructions do not fix themselves. And understanding why something happened does not automatically change what needs to happen next. What needs to happen next starts with an honest look at your own behavior in the marriage, not at hers, at yours. Are you absorbing things you should be addressing? Are you folding in moments where you should be holding your ground? Have you made yourself so available and so accommodating that you have disappeared as a person? Have you been so focused on keeping her happy that you stop doing the things that make you someone worth keeping happy for? If the answer to any of those questions is yes, the work is not romantic. It is not a date night or a vacation or a grand gesture. The work is the slow, consistent process of recovering your own position in the marriage, of addressing what needs to be addressed, of holding your ground without hostility, of being someone whose approval she has to earn as much as you have been earning hers. That is not a comfortable process. It will almost certainly produce conflict before it produces results. A woman whose husband suddenly stops collapsing on demand does not immediately respond with desire. She responds with resistance. She tests harder. She pushes back. And the men who mistake that initial resistance for evidence that the approach is wrong are the men who fold again and confirm everything she already believed about him. The men who hold through that resistance are the men who eventually get their marriages back. She stopped wanting you because somewhere in the history of your marriage, you stopped being someone she could not afford to lose. The path back is not about doing more of what you have been doing. It is about becoming again the kind of man who does not need to chase what is already his. Drop a comment. Men, tell me when you first noticed the shift and whether you connected it to respect or whether you thought it was something else entirely. Subscribe to Still Point Institute. Every week we tell you the truth about what is actually happening in your marriage and what you can do about it before it is too late to matter.